All right, what up, people? It's your boy Chig from Guna Eagle Eye. Sorry, Guna Eagle Eye. Let me try that again. Chig Flicks. Coming to you again with a brand new video. It's that time of year. This is what all us film critics are doing, and we're doing our least favorite, and our best films of the year. Um, this was a tough year. I ain't gonna lie. Was it as tough as last year? No, I think there were a lot worse films last year and a lot more. And I think there are a lot better films that there have been this year for sure. So it has been a better film than it was last year. Better year in terms of movies than it was last year. But I ain't gonna lie, when I was kind of going through this, I realized, oh my gosh, I've seen some crap this year. I'll confess, one of these movies I saw just for the purpose of this video. No other reason. Things I do for you guys. All right, I'm gonna go through this list. It's gonna be a tough list to get through. Stay with me, and we're gonna see what we can do. All right. Okay. This is the film I saw, by the way. Number 10. Might as well start this off right now. This is the film I saw for the purposes of this video, and that is the Medea Family Christmas. I'm sorry, and I know my mate Chris will hate me for saying this. It is crap. All his films have been crap. For some unusual, weird reason, he loves this series. This is a Tyler Perry. Uh, for anyone who doesn't know, this is the Tyler Perry movies. These movies have gone on for like 15 years. I didn't even realize that until very, very recently. Spanning 11 films. They make these films for dirt cheap, and somewhere, somehow, people are still buying these things. Chris, my boy Chris being one of them. He, it's not great. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's pretty poor. It is what it is. I'll tell you what. There's never going to be a Big Mamas 3 purely for this reason. Purely, utterly for this reason. Um, According to Tyler Perry, this is going to be the last of these films. Please, God, stop making these films. No, I want to hate on Tyler Perry by all his intents and purposes. He's a very successful guy. He has his own studios, which is very popular. But these movies, man, stop it. Just please stop it. No more over the next couple of years, please. Just don't even see it. I mean, I'm not going to really recommend any of these on this list, but the ones that I say don't see, don't do it to yourself. Don't do it to yourself. This is why I'm here for you. This is number 10 on my list. Number 9 on the list is The Hustle, starring uh, Anne Hathaway and Rebel Wilson. Gosh, her name escapes me for a second. Um, this is the remake of the Dirty Rotten Scandals, starring Michael Caine, and that movie dropped in 1988. Very successful movie, as you guys will know. So they tried to make it with an all-girl cast because that seems to be the way of the world these days. Oh, what guys did this? The girls will do it better. I wish they're still doing that. Obviously, girls can make great movies, but this weren't one of them. This wasn't a great year for Anne Hathaway. I'll be honest. Maybe the Oscar curse is finally coming down on her because, yeah, this was a tough year for her. She made two movies in particular that are on this list. Spoiler alert! I'm sure you can guess what they are. Um, it was nothing, you know. I like Rebel Wilson a lot. She kind of has a Melissa McCarthy feel to her, given that they were both big girls, famous for one particular role, and then they've tried to kick on and see if they can kind of go on and have a bit of a career. Unfortunately, she needs to read the Melissa McCarthy McCarthy playbook because yeah, this is tough. This is a tough watch. And I like hustle movies. I like stuff where when it's the guy getting their comeuppance. I like that type of stuff. Hustle's The hustle genre is my favorite type of genre. I don't even know if hustle is a genre, but I'm going to say it is. So I liked this in terms of the concept, but it just didn't work. It wasn't funny. It just dad jokes that fell flat. I didn't even feel there was any particular chemistry between the two. It was just a nothing movie. This is one of those ones where you could see it for yourself, judge it for yourself, and see if I'm being harsh on it. Me personally, I didn't think I was. I would not recommend it. It is what it is. Number 8 on this list is Cats. Um, it's shit. Don't go see it. Just don't go see it. They're supposed to be cleaning up the CGI and re-releasing it. Don't do it to yourself. It's I mean, I'll be honest, to be fair, I'm gonna try and be fair. I don't normally like musical films anyway. You know what I'm saying? I never watched Mamma Mia. I haven't watched it in the show. Not to say I don't like musicals, full stop. If I go to a theater, I'll watch it. I'll watch a musical. Watch a few theater shows. Just for me personally, watching this on the screen, and this is the most recent bad film I've seen. It was just, I just sat there like it was the one movie I was tempted to just get up and walk out. It was so bad. Don't go see it. Don't go see it. I can't. Of all the movies I recommend on this list, do not go and see that one. All right, I'm just saying it's terrible. That's why I'm here for you. This is number 8. Number 7 is Replicas. I love Keanu Reeves. My man is probably one of the hottest commodities in Hollywood at the moment, largely through the John Wick series. You may see a John Wick appearance in my 10 best list. But in terms of this, I did not like this. I feel like Keanu Reeves is the type of guy that will just say if he's close to the director, will just say yes to a movie rather than actually being selective about scripts. He's at the point in his career, and he's so hot as a commodity at the moment. You know, at the moment, flipping what's his name, Vin Diesel, begging him to join his Fast and Furious series somehow. Toy Story, they had to for Toy Story 4. He obviously appeared in that. And they had to plead with him to get into that. Marvel are on his nuts at the moment, trying to beg him to get some sort of role for Keanu Reeves. My man is Hollywood's hottest commodity. This sour. I mean, nothing worked about this movie at all. It was just boring. The writing was bad. The acting was terrible. There was no heart to this movie. It was supposed to be a sci-fi movie. It was just like, it was just a non-event, non-starter to me. This is one of those films I actually forgot I saw this year. I actually thought I saw it the year before. This is how bad this movie is. So for me, I would say, if I was you guys, don't see it. Don't put yourselves through it. Again, this is why I'm here. So don't put yourselves through it. Give it a miss. And that is this movie. That is Replicas. Number 6, Lion King. Now, you're going to be surprised that Lion King's on here. I recognize that. I had a lot of expectations for this movie. There was a certain list of movies I was excited to see. And one of the videos I'll do over the next few days, particularly as we cross into next year, will be my most anticipated movie list. Well, if I had done this for this channel last year, this would have been on here, along with Endgame and a few others. I was expecting a lot from this because, as I said, I don't dislike musicals, period. And this is an example of that. Lion King, for me, I see it much more than a musical. It was a perfect Disney movie, particularly the original one. In terms of the show, I think the show is actually really fun. It's one of the better theatre shows you'll see, right? So you bearing that in mind, how do you take that and fuck that up? How? How is that possible? That you take that and fuck that up? There were two things that they tried to do. They kept the kind of same direction, but they tried to kind of remake some of the dialogue, which for some reason I just did not like. Didn't work. Some of the voice actors that played the roles, you kind of didn't believe them. I love Beyonce. Beehives, I'm sorry, she does not work in her role. I'm sorry, she does not work in her role. There were just some casting decisions that I didn't like. I couldn't picture them in it. They kind of said that this was live action, but it was basically an animation, like just the way they figured some of the facial expressions and the actions. It was just like, why not just make another animation? Like, why did you do this? Oh man, oh, it was so for me. It was just really disappointing. And somehow, this is the thing that I remember when I watched the movie. There was another film I forgot I saw this year. I somehow found this boring. I don't know if it was just the pacing of it. I don't know if it was just this. There was no one there that I kind of thought, oh, I like this. I like this character. Even Seth Rogen, who was expecting to be that character, there was no one there that kind of had me invested in the movie. It kind of just happened. Yeah, it was just it was just there. Like it happened. It was there. There was nothing else to really discuss. Lion King, by all means, go and see it if you want to. I remember being really disappointed about this movie because it was also another one that they hyped because of the cast that was in it, and it just didn't work. For me, I love uh oh, what is my man's name? Danny I've forgotten his name. Anyway, I'll come back to his name. It's a so professional. What is his name? So this is where I would edit in future so that I don't look like such a tool doing this live. What is my man's name? Lion King. I like Donald Glover. That's the one. I like Donald Glover a lot, but to me, I just don't think this works. They obviously brought James Earl Jones in it for Mustafa. For Mustafa, saying Mustafa, Mustafa, and that was great and all, but it was just no. I just didn't like this movie. Remember, guys, I'm talking about movies I didn't like that I thought were the worst in 2019. This is just a purely opinion-based movie. I say that as we go into the final 5 movies that I dislike. All right. Speaking of which, Terminator Dark Fate is my number 5. Stop making these movies. Straight up. Stop making these movies. This is another one where I went into it with hope, purely on the basis that James Cameron was coming back to direct. I thought was directing. It turns out he was the producer of the movie. And I thought to myself, all right, well, it's kind of sort of in his hands. They're bringing back Linda Hamilton to play her original role. I thought, okay. They were even bringing back the original John Connor. I was like, all right. I mean, the last time I saw him, he didn't look great, but okay. I'm buying into it. And then by the first scene, my entire enthusiasm for this movie got blown up. Pun intended. You will see what I mean. And then from there, it was just a lifeless movie. I really wanted to like the lead. I think she tried. I think she put a lot of effort in. One model, I can't even remember her name. Let me see if I can remember her name and get that up. She tried. I think she put in a lot of effort into the movie. You can clearly see she worked out a lot for the movie, and I think sometimes with actors they focus more on the kind of the getting to that appropriate shape rather than the actual acting craft of it. Her name was Mackenzie Davis. That's the one tall blonde girl. Um, I mean, she got into great shape, but I never felt convinced by her. The person that played the Terminator was Gabriel Luna. Um, Again, in his role, I I never felt like he was the menace. I mean, it's hard because it's hard getting the original menacing character of the original Terminator. So I understand that, especially because Arnold Schwarzenegger in the first movie was a menacing character. Spoiler alert if you ain't seen that one. And then obviously Robert Patrick was I mean, one of the most menacing bad guys there's ever been in film, in terms of when he played the Terminator. But in this particular one, with this guy, I think you kind of watch the movie and there's no real. I mean, they try, but you never get the feeling when you're watching it that there's any particular high stakes in the movie. Which sounds stupid because you're talking about end of world stuff. But I never thought to myself at any time, this Terminator is going to do it. Like, I never thought that. Whereas, and admittedly, I was a hell of a lot younger when I first saw Terminator 2. But with Terminator 2, I thought to myself, this guy is relentless. Even though in the back of my mind, you know that he's going to lose because he's a bad guy. But I never got that feeling with this particular movie. I wanted to like it, really wanted to like it. To me, and I know people will look at it and say, "Oh, what are you talking about, Chig? It's 70% on Rotten Tomatoes and it's 6.5 on IMDb." This is not the one where I will tell you not to watch it. Watch it, make your own opinion. But as I always say, this is not about what critics hate. This is about what I hate. And this movie, for me, I think the fact that it didn't respect the original source material, the fact that it didn't respect one of my favorite movies ever, and I think it tried to have some nostalgia in there, and it just didn't work. I like the fact that Linda Hamilton came back. To me, I think the plot let her and Arnie down. I thought Arnie was fine as well. Um, yeah, for me, I just didn't like the plot. I found it boring. I did. And then they tried to have I don't want to ruin it, but they tried to have a sympathetic, heroic character in there, a new character in there. It didn't work. It didn't work. It did not work. I hope they stop making these movies. I really do. But to me, in my view, for Terminator gets that spot. Let's talk about the final four films so I can get up out of here. How are we going to do this? Dark Phoenix is my number four. This is a movie I knew was going to be terrible. I don't like Sophie Turner as an actor. I'm sorry, I'm not a Game of Thrones fan. I've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones, so I don't care what she's like in Game of Thrones. To me, when I've seen her in this X-Men reboot, she's always been terrible. I'll give it to her in this particular movie. She tried. She tried. But to be perfectly honest, I thought all the acting was bad. I thought somehow they made a cast that was so likable in the first two movies. By the fourth movie, they became so unlikable. This was not the way to finish the Fox X-Men franchise. The Fox X-Men franchise, I wish, had finished with Logan. That would have been the perfect way to finish the Fox franchise with X-Men. Instead, they rumbled on to make this piece of shit. To me, not for me. I hate this movie, and yeah, I'm going to go with this as number four. Number three. Number three, I'm going to go with This is a tight call. I'm going to go with extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile. This is another film where I imagine probably is quite a film where a lot of people liked it. This is a story talking about um, the Ted Bundy murders that happened. Obviously, the story is a lot more famous in America than it was in the UK. Um, the thing that I disliked about the movie wasn't the thing I thought I was going to dislike. When I heard that Zac Efron had been cast for this movie, I was like, oh shit. Because I just couldn't imagine him playing a menacing, complex role. Actually, Zac Efron was probably the best thing about this movie. Um, I thought he did really well with it, all things considered. I thought he threw himself into it. And actually, to me, it was boring when he wasn't on the screen because his his character was obviously is basing it on someone, but the way he played it was very well thought, flushed out character. He knew what he wanted to do with it, and he did it. Unfortunately for Zac Efron, the plot let him down, which I know sounds stupid because this is based on a real life story, but I think you could have done so much more with the story. You could have made this guy a complex character with different layers. You could have made it a real psychological thriller, and they didn't. They almost glorified this man's actions, and it was just it just they had an interesting concept, but the execution was lousy. The writing was lousy. The acting around him was lousy. Everything about this film was lousy, other than Zac Efron. The title of the film is dumb as well. Sorry, it should have just been a nice, simple title. Just call it the Ted Bundy movie and move on. But yeah, for me, yeah, didn't like it. But I liked Zac Efron in it, and he was the thing I was worried about. So it just goes to show you don't have any kind of preconceived ideas about any movie. All right, second worst film of this year is Hellboy. Yeah, Hellboy to me was not only the second worst movie of the year, it was the most disappointing to me. I liked the first two Hellboys. I did. Sue me. I liked him. I thought it was fun. Del Toro, I thought, and with Ron, I forgot his second name, who played the first Hellboy. I thought it was two really great movies. I'm not really sure why they didn't make a third. And instead of making a third, they rebooted it. Now, let me first things first, let me say this. David Harbour was good as Hellboy. Wasn't amazing, but was good as Hellboy. I think he did his thing. He really tried. Like he really tried, and I'll give him that. Almost sounds like I'm reviewing the previous movie, but he did. He really threw himself into it and tried. But again, like Zac Efron with the previous movie, everything else let let him down with this. The only reason I put this slightly worse than the other one is actually you always worry about films that are stuck in development hell and there are problems and a studio gets involved and it takes a bit longer than it should to get the movie out and there's a little bit more money spent than it should be, and you can tell as soon as the first scene kicks in. Honestly, watch that first scene. What's the first scene of this movie? And you'll be sat there thinking, oh no, something is badly gone wrong here. It feels like somebody had an idea, then somebody else had an idea, then somebody else had the idea, and then the studio came in and forced their idea onto everyone else. This to me was just a waste because I like David Harbour. I did. But the tone of this film is all over the place. Everything about this film is all over the place. And it's a shame. But Hellboy for me is my number two worst movie of the year. Now, I was going to do honorable mentions, things like The Professor, Countdown, stuff like that. But you know what? Let's just jump to number one. Number one worst movie of the year. Now, this is going to top a lot of people's. I can't believe I saw this movie. Oh my gosh. I said it was a bad year for Anne Hathaway. Worst movie of 2019 is easily Serenity. Yeah, Serenity is the worst movie of the year. Um, to the point where it's almost comical. It takes itself far too seriously, like far too seriously. It clearly had this idea that it was wanting to be one thing. It stars Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, and a bunch of other people, and it should have been good, but it's comically bad to the point where, again, another one I highly recommend. You don't even bother. Don't even bother with this. It's just a waste of time. The runtime, it felt like it dragged. Like I was like, what is this? I don't understand what this was. Um, to me, I was almost going to put Will Smith's movie in this, Gemini. I was almost going to put him in this list, but actually, when I thought about these 10, Gemini, by comparison, was a lot more fun. This was just. I mean, and I know I recommended Jeremiah, and I said it was trash, and it is trash. So I guess I'll put it as an honorable mention. But compared to these 10, and in particular this movie, it was just. This was just. Oh man! I mean, everything. I actually think Anne Hathaway acted terrible in this movie. So did Matthew McConaughey. These are Oscar winners we're talking about here. You know, everything about this movie, from the writing to the fact that it almost came off like a parody. Like halfway through making the movie, they realized, let's just take the piss out of ourselves. Some of the camera angles that they come in at. I've seen the movie, and in a lot of ways, I still don't get what it was really about. Like, I get the premise, but from what I saw, if I had to describe it or relay it to someone, I don't really know how I would start or what I would say. It was just a really weird movie. Um, but yeah, gosh, Serenity. Oh man, forgot another one. I forgot I saw. Anyway, those are my 10 worst movies of the year. Please do let me know what you think. Leave it in the comments below. If you like this video, please just drop me a like before you click on that X to get up out of here. Just to say, please, thank you for everybody that has subscribed so far to this channel. I've got so many big plans for this channel. It's unbelievable, because the good thing about this versus my Arsenal channel is it can be so diverse, and I've got so many things in my head. I'm looking just to lift under the curtain and let you guys have a secret. So at the moment, I'm looking for an editor. So it's going to be a little kind of editor that's dedicated to both projects, but predominantly this one. So I want to really build Chig Flicks up to be a massive thing. And I'm hoping that the presence of an editor will be able to help me. So, for example, when in future I do these lists, you see a little pop-up of the movies that I'm talking about. So, yeah, please do stick around with me. I promise you, this time next year, channel will completely evolve. And just hit the subscribe button. Get those numbers up. Well over 100 subscribers now. Thank you so much. I never take that stuff for granted. And let's just see if we can keep this thing building, because I really enjoy movies, you know. Yes, I'm a massive Arsenal fan, and that's where I've made a very local name for myself on YouTube for. But actually, to me, this is also just as big of a project to me. And so I want to build this up as much as possible and just get that out there to you guys. That's pretty much it for now. But thank you so much for hanging around with me, following me for this year. Next year will be a bigger, better year, I promise, in Jesus' name. And I'm out of here for now, people. Take care. Enjoy yourself. Have a happy new year. Peace.